hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, what do you know? Hello, December. We're there. Hello, December. Christmas is coming. Good afternoon, everyone. And hello to our global family. Welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I am your host, Sabrina, and it's so good to be back with you today. Happy Monday as well, and I got a little image and a little motivation for you. Yeah, we continue the vibes from Friday because I know and I felt it. I saw it. You guys like the feeling. It must be something about December. But before we get into the whole important topic today, let's give thanks. We got to give thanks. Yes, November 30th, yesterday, marked official end of the Atlantic hurricane season. And I know we dabbled into that on Friday, but this is how thankful we are. So we ought to be grateful that the Cayman Islands has come through safely, and this hurricane season, and looking forward to our very own Cayman Thanksgiving, which is going to be observed on this Sunday coming. I know some of you did the whole Thanksgiving thing this Sunday gone, like yesterday, but our Cayman Thanksgiving is this Sunday, November 7th, and it's time to really reflect and give thanks and celebrate our resilience together. But the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for the general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. It is good to be here. And I am excited for what this whole week is looking up to, because it's one day closer to Christmas. Yeah, it's one day closer to that. All of the getting out and seeing people, just sharing different experiences. I really love that, to be honest. And you just pull yourself out the rut. It's been a hard year for many of us. And I guess, it's just what you make of it. And you really got to pull yourself out of the rut. So I know it can be difficult. It can be challenging, the whole stresses of the season. But we're gonna be fine. We're gonna get through this together. Let's look at the weather and hope that doesn't put any more damper. But welcoming the fresh breezes, compliments of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. The weather calls for the chance of an odd isolated showers. We had an odd one this morning. Those showers remain possible through the next 24 hours as winds become light to gentle in association with a weak ridge of high pressure over the region. From late Tuesday, a frontal system is expected to become stationary west of Cuba, with another ridge building in behind shortly thereafter, supporting fair conditions across the northwest Caribbean. Now you can see our sunrise tomorrow morning. This evening, actually, is going to be at 5:45 p.m. and our seas are slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Our winds are east to northeast 5 to 10 knots, and our temperature tonight, as I said, would be 7 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So yes, we are ushering those cool temperatures as we embrace this season. But I'm excited. Don't know about you. Oh yeah. Who want to join me in sending huge birthday shout outs to Keva? Keva Robb celebrates her birthday today. And Keva and I go way back, like really, really way back. I want to wish you all the best on this birthday. Hope you had a blast. Keva and I worked at immigration for many, many moons. She's still there now. I think she's with CBC. And as a matter of fact, hey guys, how you doing? Sonia, Aldine, and Cindy, saw you guys today. I actually had to go there today, and it really brought back memories of the old school. Sonia is like one of the cornerstones in immigration. You go back there, and she just takes you back in time. But it was really good, and I must say the service was efficient. It was so quickly. You really went through I had no problems whatsoever. And everything was orderly. It wasn't back in the day where you just had this cram room with everybody standing up, and it was really a good experience, but more so it took me back down memory lane, the days of working with Keva at the airport where Air Jamaica created her own schedule. And those days when you were on departures, exits, you stayed there you went on from the first departure to the last departure. And likewise on arrivals, you were there from the first arrival to the last arrival. And I remember those days with the likes of Keva and Jackie and Dalmeen and Alexander Marcus back in the day. These are from the old school, and Dawn and Orion. We really going way back, even Clea back in the days. But those were good days. And I remember those days as well with Mr. Manderson working in enforcement. He was then the chief immigration officer. Every now and again, we sit back and we reminisce. I did that today, Keva. You were the only one missing there, but you were allowed to get away because today is your special day as we all celebrate you. We could have some good times, the laughter galore that still exists. But I wish you many, many more blessings, Keva. Continue to do your job with dignity and being one of our ambassadors and those who guard our front lines of the Cayman Islands. And thank you for all of our persons, ladies and gentlemen in the uniformed services. Sometimes you may think we come at you, but no, I totally respect you. And I'm speaking from a place of knowing. So when I actually speak about enforcement and the gatekeepers, it comes from a place of having been in that role and knowing what that role entails. And so it really hits home when you see things staring in your face. And Keva is one of those that I can honestly tell you the days when we were all one, where we had each other's back, joint patrols, not to tell you that that's not there now, but things and times have changed, and going out on different operations. But these were the days we manned those booths, we manned those counters, and we were there. We were a family. I see it still continues. I was hearing a little joke about who had coffee and who I even left with a piece of bread pudding. Aldine, you're going to make me sin. Yeah, I left with a piece of bread pudding. That's what we know. That's the spirit in there. Kevin, you didn't get none of that, but I'm quite sure you had bigger things going on. But happy birthday to you. Thank you for allowing me to go down memory lane and just honor and celebrate you today. And likewise, we're seeing the birthday wishes as well coming out on the Sabrina Turner Community Activist Facebook page. So if you haven't gone on and shout out to Keva Robb, please do go out and help us celebrate her birthday. It's good to be there. Yeah, well, hey, look at what I bumped into over the weekend. I got to share this with you. Did you know that the British passport is about to get a royal refresh? Yeah, that's the image on the screen. Starting next month, yeah, starting in January, the Home Office will begin issuing the new design for this very first time. We got King Charles official coat of arms will appear on the cover. Now that includes us too, because remember the Cayman Islands with British overseas passports. So when you're heading off island, you're not just carrying with us the Sir Turtle and the pride that's on our national flag carrier, but a little royal crest as well the next time you renew your passport, because these are going to be issued come January. But here's what you need to know about this. What's unique is that the new passports will also feature updated security measures. They're adding some new stuff into these travel documents. And this new UK one will have some enhanced security features, including the latest anti-forgery technology. Anti-forgery technology. And that means that they're going to be harder to forge or even try to tamper with. So migration and citizenship, this Mr. Mike Tapp calls it a new era in the history of British passports, and saying that it celebrates British heritage while keeping our documents among the most secure and trusted in the world. And the UK government is reminding everyone to check the validity of their passport, and it should be doing the same thing here as well. What are we having here? Let's go back in here. We're having some streaming issues here. Facebook is always doing crap. Let's do this. We're having our issue with streaming there on the CMR platform. So I'm just going to sort that out for a little bit. But yeah, what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is that, they're encouraging you for your Cayman, your UK passport, whatever travel document you're here on, please remember to check the validity of them and renew them before you book your travel arrangements and get disappointed for the holidays. And just for context, for all of you, UK passports are in their modern form. And these new documents, these new travel documents with the photo and signature, they have been, did you know this? From 1915, they've been around. But the first, and also some history on this, the first security watermark came about in 1972. And then machine readable passports were introduced back in 1988. For those of us, we're like, it's always been machine readable. No, it hasn't. I have done a number of courses where you have seen these passports being tampered with and somebody just slides the new picture in it and it's not them, but they've taken on a different identity. It's amazing where these passports are coming from and where they are right now. So, this redesign is the latest chapter of long history of keeping travel documents safe and up to date. So the Royal Crest is a tighter security, a nod to heritage. That's the new passport that you will be carrying with you the next time you update your UK passport. And I am quite sure that this new crest as well will also appear on our Cayman travel documents as eventually. It's been a while yet since we've been waiting on the King's Crest. All of our uniform services, even how you do the logos for government, all of that now is going to change because we now have King Charles, and it was Queen Elizabeth. So with that comes a different whole crest, and now you see it. So that's going to come on board. Now we got to keep it tight here because 7:00 we are gonna have another episode right here, not of Sabrina Speaks, but we have content. And kudos to the CMRTV.com content creator family that is pretty much doing its soft launch and introducing. For those of you who've been following the site, you will notice even on Saturday night, we had some talks. We had some live show talking about relationships and that sort of stuff and being the other side chick. Very interesting. I got my own opinions, but I'll leave that to myself. But at the end of the day, it was quite interesting to see still yet how candid we are, how taboo certain things are. But I'm hoping with this space that, and all of the other content creators that are coming out, that you're enjoying the content that is there. And as we continue to grow here, our CMR TV family. But yeah, it's good to have you all here. Connie Bonnie, how are you? It's good to have you here. Marshall, good evening to you, my sweet. Damian Henry, good to have you as well. Denise, how are you? Caught sight of you the other day at Foster's. You didn't see me because you were just busy as usual, doing and being the best you can be there, checking people out at Foster's Kamana Bay. Miss Bonnelly, good evening to you as well, my sweet. Oh, Annie Ann. Ann is also a part of the history there of immigration. We had some good old days, girl. Remember Miss Christine Duff? Yeah, even Mary Hyde. I remember Mary. Yeah, going back old school, reminiscing. Yeah, so it's good. But today we're going to be talking about something serious. It's good to have everybody here. 936-8255 is the number to join in on this conversation. So, yes. Oh, thanks for that reminder. Connie says, I'm fine. Thank you. Please remember to keep Noli Kayaso in our prayers. Yes, I'm hearing he's not doing too well. And thank you for that gentle reminder. There we go. Excellent work as well to the CMR fans and family for doing such a phenomenal job in participating for the drive for his bed and some. So yeah, got to keep him in our prayers. Yeah, girl. Annie Ann. But let's talk about, you've seen all weekend, I've gotten some tags as well in regards to what has rather been topical. And I thought it was only important because to educate, break it down as best as I can. And because it got into some debates that I'm seeing online now, what's going to happen. And we're putting our focus on this H5N1 that's found in birds at a farm in West Bay. That's what I am. I know, Anne, I know. That has been found on a farm in West Bay. So yes, we're going to talk about this because it's pretty serious, but manageable. And, you know, the confirmed case that we have found in this avian flu at a farm in West Bay. And my aim is to hopefully to be able to break it down in everyday language. And avian flu is a virus that mostly affects birds. And in rare cases, it can spread to humans. But right here now in the Cayman Islands, there are no confirmed cases up until the time we became live in humans. And that's important. And the risk to the public at this time remains low. So what happened in West Bay is the question. The government teams moved quickly, that's for sure. And all from what we're hearing, pretty much poultry from the farm are being tested. They're going to make sure that the virus, to try and stop that from spreading, and the area is being disinfected. And that is the right move. Now, it is the same step that would be taken in countries around the world. So when you want to find out what would they do, international standards, are we becoming a panic? Are we doing things right? Because there's always comparison. It's pretty much how we've been responded to the public. What's been placed in the public's domain has so far been in accordance with international standards. So it may sound a bit harsh because some of the talks was that the entire flock, all of the chickens, would be slaughtered. And but it's the safest way to protect not only people, but also and animals, both people and animals. That is not the confirmed case at this time. I stand to be corrected. My aim is to just enlighten us a little bit more, because we do have migratory birds this time of the year, which increases our chances. But not only that, how our local birds could be impacted by this. Anyone who's living close to wetlands, mangroves, we see a lot of our own web-footed ducks that they're around, and they come and they're very team. And so I'll have some tips for you as well. But we want to talk about the risk. For the farm itself, the birds are gone, should they be eradicated, which means the virus doesn't have a host to keep multiplying, which is why sometimes the decision is to just kill all of these animals. For the workers, protective gear and gloves, masks are used so that their risk, all these persons who are working on this farm, are low if they follow the necessary steps and precautions. And when it comes to the surrounding area, including even our water table, disinfection is definitely key. So the virus doesn't survive, this is key to know, long outside its host. The virus does not live very long outside birds, and especially not in treated or chlorine water. So if you're even seeing one of our own get it, which we will go into what ifs, one of our species of native birds become infected with this, how do we deal with it? It's good to know that they hang around the pool, that sort of stuff outside on your back patio, that it doesn't last long once it's outside of these birds, and it is not tolerant to bleach. And they're about no chlorinated water. We Caymanians love a little bleach and fabuloso. So for humans, the main risk, it really is comes from direct contact with sick or dead birds. And that's why public health is advising don't touch sick or dead animals if you develop, and some of what is saying, you could, if you develop flu-like symptoms, which is complicating things because this is a time of the year where people are actually getting sick right now anyhow with the flu. And within 14 days of possible exposure, you could have those. If you see yourself coming down with that, you must seek medical attention. So if public health is advising, let's be clear, public health is advising anyone that you should not touch sick or dead animals. And if you develop flu-like symptoms within 2 to 14 days of possible exposure, seek medical attention, okay? And here's the bigger picture. Real Michelle, I'm coming to you. Around the world, like I said, once this is confirmed, as a matter of fact, countries take that drastic decision to cull the infected flock and disinfect the entire site. And also by that, they will then continue to monitor farms nearby and wild birds and issue, just as we've done here, advisories. So Cayman has done exactly what international standards thus far has done, what's in the public's domain. And they are indeed following international standards. But it's important that we must not take this outbreak for granted, which is why I felt it was necessary for me to have this discussion. You know, I like to deep dive and search and try to put things into layman's terms because we may take these things for granted. Even though the risk is low for us human beings, it's a real reminder that health is shared between people and animals in our environment. And that's why we must all be vigilant. And cooperation as well matters, and any community awareness matters. So I felt it was important for me to go through exactly what this is in everyday terms, the risk that it poses to farms, to workers, even our environment, and why we should all take this pretty seriously. If the risk feels small, even though it feels small, we should take it serious. And I'll also share with you some practical tips. You're free, again, to message me, WhatsApp me, call in to share in on this, because like I said, I was tagged in to some where they felt that it's some of the measures that were being suggested is not liked by a lot of persons in the community. And this is about education. It is also about prevention and also unity in just striking the balance, because so far, as I said, this jurisdiction has acted responsibly, but to each of us, we have a role to play as well. So we will actually dive into that a little bit more, but I expect you to participate. And I thank you for participating with me as well on this topic. You may not think it's important, but I tell you what, you make one of our species get it and they're flying all over the place. You can't, that's not contained. And I'll tell you why. Real Michelle, it's good to have you here with us on this Monday. Why redesign the passport when there is so much push for national ID? How many forged passports have actually been discovered? Improved security? I wonder why the distraction. Very interesting, Michelle. Now you're like one of those. I said the same thing, but until I'm going to be honest with you, the real Michelle, I feel the reason why this had to be done instead of reprinting a new set or a new batch of travel documents with the old crest is because his mom is no longer alive. The Queen Elizabeth is no longer alive, and any new batches of these passports should bear the king's. But remember now, the national ID itself is not yet, it's still in the form, even though it's gradually being introduced, coming in from this angle, coming in from that angle, from all other angles. And it's not yet already rolled out. Remember, the EU has rolled out their own form of going into digital ID and all this sort of stuff, but there's still a lot of catching up to do. Remember, by 2020, what, 29? They're saying these are going to do away. There's going to be no need for your passports anyhow. But until such time, I'm quite sure, because not everybody's going to get up to speed with buying in on this national ID at the same time. Until such time, what happens to somebody's travel document like now that is about to expire now or in the next 6 months? Are you going to say, just go with the digital ID? This is what, instead of a passport, this is what you're going to do. And furthermore, not all jurisdictions have yet complied with this digital ID. So you still need a form of travel document as we know it, passport, to enter certain countries, right? So I can see that, the real Michelle, why it would be done. I wouldn't say it's totally a distraction. It's like the transitional clause of Section 35 of the immigration reform. So I can see this being a transitional stage. Eventually, you will probably not have the passport because not all countries are going to be stepping up to the plate with accepting this all digital ID, even though at the end of the day, what is forecasted and predicted is that we all are going to go to digital. But until then, they have a duty to still issue a travel document as we used to. The improved security is more harder to tamper. That's my interpretation of the press release, to tamper with changing over photos, security features, that sort of stuff. And for the record, these passports have been coming with a chip of some sort from the day that they became machine readable. So I'm quite sure those chips now have even been more enhanced now that they have said it in not so many words. So yeah, but I wouldn't really call it a distraction at this time. It's just practical because, like I said, if my passport is up for renewal right now and I'm going to be traveling over the holidays or in the spring, God spare life, that I need a travel document to go to because either that country's infrastructure is not up to speed to even, accept digital ID in its format, but they can take a machine readable passport. You can't really hinder somebody from that. Yeah. So I think that is what it is. So I'm hoping that you get my response, my interpretation on that. Keith Art, how you doing? Happy Monday and happy December. If this spreads through humans, this would make COVID. Well, Keith, what do you think of bringing it up today? Keith Art, that is exactly why I'm bringing it up today. Because this is not to fairmonger. This is by no means, this is just spreading the facts. It's not that Sabrina couldn't have other things to talk about, because trust me, I got a lot more other interpretations of the immigration transition that I know you all love that I could do. And I'm intending to do the immigration, the status and the farmhands, work permits, break that down for you as well. And I think we could probably end the rest of this week section by section in layman's terms, because I've gotten your feedback on this. You love how I've been delivering it. And I thank you for your feedback. But Keith, that was the same reason that I actually brought this up today, because it is rather relevant. And I think we cannot not think. We shouldn't take it for granted. And kudos to the farmer in West Bay who realized something was not right, and for calling agriculture and letting them know. I don't know who it is, but based on what's in the public's domain, kudos for you for being vigilant and realizing what was going on, and for our very own officials to have stepped in. But, some residents, I saw it this weekend, have asked a very important question, really. If the government is willing to cull an entire flock of farmed poultry, would it be the same approach taken if the avian flu were found in our own native whistling ducks? Those are the Cayman ducks that I'm calling. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. That is not a simple issue, but I can tell you what. Let me get to that. Real Michelle wants its people. Look, bird flu. Look shiny. Bird flu. Look shiny, new passport. Wake up. Where are you going with this now? What does the government want its people to forget about? Any government would have a tough ask pushing a virus. A tough axe pushing a virus after the COVID debacle. Wants its people. I just feel, I don't know, Michelle, real Michelle, where I can take that, but I know that our chances for this bird flu increases every year at this time because of migratory birds, right? And you heard the question that some of our own were asking about what if we found this in our native whistling ducks. Let me tell you something. At least what is happened on the farm, right? That's contained, and that's in one area. Now, put this on steroids, God forbid, and something happened and it was found in our whistling ducks. On one hand, farmed birds are domestic animals raised for food, and international standards actually require immediate removal to stop the virus from spreading, okay? And then on the other hand, our native whistling ducks are part of Cayman's national heritage, okay? They're wild, they're protected species, and their role in our ecosystem is different. That's the key takeaway. And this was to the question that was posed, and I saw a little online conversation. And again, you're all free to weigh in on your opinion here, but this is what I got from it based on me double checking and all that sort of stuff. But now we're looking at the new passport, which is only showing increased security measures, safety features on the UK passport, and boasting the King's coat of arms. Yeah, I think it was noteworthy that it's finally out, having been in government and they've been waiting for this coat of arms. We got our uniform services that are waiting to change those pins on their epaulets, just waiting for the official release of this. So this impacts more than just a front of a passport being embossed. This actually impacts letterheads coming from our very own government, okay? So it goes far beyond, and I totally understand your viewpoint, real Michelle, but it's going to be interesting to see. But I wouldn't at this time, I would not be convinced at this time that the two is related, only because it's seasonal with the migratory birds and it has no link. I wouldn't think that it would have any links with the security feature of this UK passport. It's just by chance that I saw the article and I thought it would be good for me to let you guys know. Okay, now, looking at it with the protected species of our own, with our own whistling ducks, let's look at the pros then of culling. God forbid, should that be the case, but keeping it in context with what we're seeing happening here. We realize that the pros of culling or removing these infected wild birds that we have actually got our case on right now in West Bay. They're trying to stop this virus from spreading quickly to other birds, to other farms, and yes, to humans, possibly humans. Okay. And it protects public health in its entirety, which is always the number one priority to any jurisdiction. And also the pros of culling or removing infected wild birds. As I said, and you will hear me repeating this to let you know that this wasn't a standalone decision, that our powers that be matches international. So far, what we've been doing, it matches international standards, and countries around the world have actually taken decisive action to contain these outbreaks. And that's how drastic it can be. Now, the pros of this actual act also provides the reassurance to your nation that the situation is actually under control. So unfortunately, there's always a disadvantage. There's always about striking the balance. But my heart would goes out to that farmer, the owner of that farm, should, God forbid, the entire flock have to be put to sleep. Because if that is the case, that's thousands of dollars down the drain. And if you're talking about our own whistling ducks, the loss of our beloved part of our Cayman natural environment and identity is also lost as well. And then there is an ecological impact talking about our whistling ducks. And I only use them as an example because they play a role in balancing our local ecosystem, no matter how of a nuisance you may think they are in your backyard or around your deck, on your dock, especially when you're trying to fish and just out. I mean, they have gotten almost domesticated. And that's going to go into another topic about feeding wild animals, because I knew, that may be another show as well. So some of the challenges and other disadvantages is practically difficulty because, and we're talking about our own whistling ducks, wild birds in this case, if it's, God forbid, found in one of our whistling ducks, they move freely. So containment would be harder than on a farm, which in this case in West Bay, that's contained. You can easily identify that. And then there would also be emotional and a cultural impact, God forbid, because residents may feel angry because of not only losing our native wildlife, should that happen to our whistling ducks, but also because of the way that we are trying to balance human beings and life. Yeah. So instead of just going out and wiping out an entire flock, some of the approaches that some countries have actually taken to make sure that they protect life, human beings, surrounding areas, other farms, is that they continue monitoring and they continue to testing population rather than the mass killing. And that was what I was hearing coming out, that it was spoken about that there would have been a mass eradication of all of these chickens on this particular location. Okay. Another alternative is that they could actually restrict, which has been done, restricting human contact and advising against feeding. This is some of the things that we can do. I get in there. Of our own wild birds, which is why I said our whistling ducks. It is cool to put out bird seeds and to put out different stuff for these whistling ducks. I knew I had them at one point in time, fool as I was. Oh my God. They would wait for me to get up. And once they see the blind opening, who would greet me at the back door? And they would take their beaks and they would be, because I was feeding them. Guilty as charged. And those brutes, they got so accustomed to that they would actually come and knock on the door if I wanted to sleep in, because they were on their routine and they knew when I would be out back having my coffee and I would just share, thought it was cool. Till they sent out one memo. That was a telegram, let me tell you. And they brought their children, their aunties, their first, second, straight to their fifth cousins. in the morning, and they were like clockwork, waiting to be fed. Well, I stopped it. I had to stop it because, yeah, they do poop. And if they eat, it's going to come out. And oh my God, what a mess it had my place. But that what I get. That what I get. But some of the alternative approaches, yeah, as I said, don't feed them. Don't feed them. They will send a telegram to all of their ancestors and they come in the droves and they just get used to it. But restricting human impact and advising against feeding of wild birds is the best thing that you can do. I don't care how cute you think it is. And protecting water sources as well, and your yards with disinfecting and hygiene measures. Every now and again, we go out and we power wash the deck, and I'm a bleach girl. Power wash the deck because they frequent where we are here in Prospect, and it is a zoo. Because I've learned my lesson, I do not feed them, but I can't stop the neighbors from doing it. And exactly what we're doing right now, public education campaigns to reduce the risk without harming our wildlife. Trust me, they will survive. I got this thing as well that, with the chickens, that came up as well. But even the culling of the cats, we were just devastated at what was happening with those, but it's all ecological balance. And if we're feeding these wild animals, trust me, it's going to be an off balance, and nature will actually take care of it. They are trained, they can deal with it. But now that this is obvious here, I will try to do a public appeal and tell all the persons who thinks it's cool to be feeding these whistling ducks to stop it. Pick up all of those seeds that you have in your yards, trying to feed them, thinking you're doing them a favor. No, you're not. Let them fend for themselves, okay? But the reality of all of this is that this avian flu were never confirmed in our native ducks, okay? At this stage, right now, it's not in our native ducks. And government and our public health officials, really, in all honesty, they got their work cut out for them because they have to weigh the balance between the two priorities. And that is protecting human life and respecting the environment as well. Again, international standards say human safety comes first. But there are ways to respond that minimizes harm to wildlife while still trying our best to contain the virus. So just let me make it straight. There is no evidence that says our whistling ducks or any native birds right now has been infected by this. We're just using this as an example based on the conversations that were being had over the weekend. What if that was the scenario? Would we then just kill every one of our whistling ducks? We've realized it. It would be hard to contain because they are roaming about freely versus what we're seeing outplayed here now that it's contained, okay? So Cayman has, in all honesty, acted thus far responsible. And if the situation ever, I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but should it ever happen to involve our native species, decisions, hard ones, would be guided by science and international best practices, and the principle that protecting human life will always be the top priority. And I'm quite sure, based on some comments that I'm seeing here, you guys are pretty much understanding of that. And at the same time, our officials would be tasked with considering the ecological and cultural importance, God forbid, of our ducks, and look for ways to manage risk without unnecessary destruction. And that's why, we must not take these outbreaks for granted, because even when the risk feels low, we need to be vigilant at all times, and cooperation is what will keep our island safe. And that is really what I got a question here coming up. Okay, hold on. Let me get this question. Why kill an entire flock? Isn't that cruel? Okay. Messenger, I can honestly say I hear your concern, and I'm not going to dismiss it because it is actually a valid one. And no one likes the entire the idea of culling animals. But what I would say is when this flu is confirmed, I will repeat it for those of you just joining. International health standards requires removing flock to stop the virus from spreading. And it's really not about punishment, to be honest. It's not about punishment. It's about protecting human health and preventing the disease from jumping from other farms and, of course, to humans, other wild birds as well. We went into that talking about what if it happens to our own native species. And, so far, so good. We must applaud our authorities for the relevant government agencies for taking the robust approach that they have taken thus far in trying to contain and decontaminate the place and persons moving out. The good thing is that we're doing everything to make sure that we mitigate the spread of whatever is going on here. Yeah, I said that, the other question was, would government do the same to our native whistling ducks? It's hard to contain. It's really hard to contain because they're roaming wild. Whereas in this context where this was on a farm, they're contained. So it's easier to actually keep it controlled there, have a perimeter up there where it's harder, should this be in our native owned birds, to contain them. It's not like they're isolated only to a particular area or in a yard that's contained. They are flying all over the place. So it would be a matter of mass testing and for us to do our part as well. Should you have a lot of these native birds around you and let's say it gets and we find that they have it, we really need to do our part with disinfecting our area. And I think that should be done anyhow, now that we know that this is a risk in our area. If you have a lot of our wild birds around your yard and you have pets, I really, really feel that we should actually be taking the necessary steps, to be honest, in just doing what we have to do now. Don't wait for it to be a case where it's found in one of our native birds. Like we said, these birds are migrating anyhow. They're coming south. They're moving from the north and coming south, hanging out for the holidays, for the winter, and then they fly back. So droppings, feces is what could contaminate our waters, get into these farms that we can see, and we need to do our part. But again, the key is don't feed wild animals. Don't. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. Feed them thought it was cool. And they brought every one of their family members, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, even side chicks. Everybody was there. The real Michelle. Cayman would not be the same without the Catch the Wild Chickens challenge I've never been able to conquer. Concur. I don't know. This whole wild chicken thing, to be honest with you, it's very emotive, just like the cats. But now we're seeing how they were actually dealing with the cats. It's not that it was inhumane. What they were doing to what they're saying are rock iguana over in the sister islands, some of these feral cats as well, they get very, very sick and without being treated because they have to survive out there in the wild. They can spread disease, and then ticks and fleas and all that sort of stuff. I didn't realize that iguanas carried so much ticks. I had no clue. And this green iguana culling, they're not native to the Cayman Islands. They're found in Honduras. Ours is the blue iguana, which is native to the Cayman Islands. And you see what has happened, how they just exploded here locally in our population and has pretty much taken over. I did not realize that they actually carry ticks. The iguanas. And at the end of the day, the feeding of the chickens alongside the road, it's the same thing. It's about a balance. They become so domesticated that we're not helping them, as cruel as it may sound. I am a dog lover. Sometimes I love them more than they love me, and they just go to Eric or go to other members of the family because I am militant when it comes to managing treats, no table food, because you don't want them to get sick. But of course, they're going to go wherever they can cheat, and they fall for everybody else but me. But my Chance, my Chance loves me to death. He's very protective. And but it would be the same thing with wild dogs. I bet you won't try that with wild dogs. You just don't do it because that's why one dog at a time. Spade and neutering is a key, because we don't want our ecosystem to be out of whack, imbalance. And some people feed guilty as charged, who watched the tarpon feeding down at which is a huge event to go at the wharf, and I think Lobster Pot. I stand to be corrected, but I know for sure the wharf, right? Do you realize just the ringing of a bell, what happens when they start doing that tarpon feeding, even though it's a huge draw? But again, it's not only tarpons that you bring in. Every now and again, you'll see reef sharks coming in. And that's usually in an area, Pageant Beach right now with the hotel and all. Lobster Pot. Yeah, okay, good. I know it was one more there. Thank you for that. But you even see out by Fisherman Bay, Red Spot, where they're cleaning the fish and people are now basking there and swimming amongst these things. I don't care how wild they are out there. You're domesticating them when you're feeding them like clockwork. And that's what we're trying to stop. It may bring you money. It may actually be a good draw for persons to visit your restaurant, your bar. But what are we doing to the environment when we do that? And we're seeing where the risk is. And you're seeing some of those suckers. They're huge. They are huge. It's cool to say we get scent, but so close to shore. Like I said, I'm not bashing anyone for making a living, but even though we're talking about the tarpon feeding, that sort of stuff, it's no different. It's no different. I'm guilty as charged with throwing leftover meat and stuff to feed the lobsters, that sort of stuff. Guilty as charged. Only when in season though. But they ain't gonna take a line, and I know they here we go again. You see that? You're used to feeding fish scrapings of meat from your own home. Throw a line if you think you're bad. They're not gonna take the hook. They're not going to take it. That's because they're used to being hand-fed. And that's not what they were designed for. So there's lessons to be learned. Just like human beings, we're resilient people. We will actually manage our own. It's the same thing. This flu in West Bay, thank God it was contained. Thank God our relevant government agencies stepped up to the plate, and they're doing what they're doing in order to minimize the spread, the risk, and God forbid that it never gets transferable to human beings. But we got to do our part as well. We got to be real. The real Michelle, what are you saying, my love? I love the wild chickens that roam the street, especially that famous one that like to go KFC. It is very cool and is unique to most of us around the world. There's one Rooster Boy, he controls KFC in town. The man walks on the pedestrian crossing, and he will actually stop and wait for the cars to pass. This is not what I saw on any other platform. This is what I observed with my two eyes. I was going to Kirk Freeport one day. I parked over at Kirk Freeport Cardinal Avenue, but I parked at Bayshore and used a little path in between RBC and KFC. And of course, I saw the famous rooster. My man walked across the road as I was walking across the road on the pedestrian. And I've seen other videos where this chicken pretty much is using the pedestrian like human beings. I drew this point to tell you what we're doing are wild animals. They become domesticated, they adapt like in their surroundings. And even though it's cool, it not right. Because then you find them, you know, these roosters would go to sleep. You would know when it's sunrise and when you know when it's sunset, right? They're up all night because of the bright lights. Because of the bright lights. You will see chickens walking 8, 9 o'clock in the night, which was weird. Now, they're like some of us. They party sun up, sun down. Yeah. And these are where you have to be in tune with your environment. Same thing with our environmentalists when it comes to the hatching of our turtles and for them laying their eggs. Anyone who's living close to the beach and they're knowing that it's usually a nesting area for our turtles, they're asked to put, turtle-friendly lights so that you don't distort or disrupt their laying cycle or whatever it is. I'm no scientist like that. But what I'm saying is, if we're seeing this happening to our chickens, can you imagine if we constantly do this to wild animals where we can just probably just mess them all up? The real Michelle. You wouldn't catch me trying to catch an iguana. Me either. Oh, no. Kudos to all of our colors out there who have made a living from this, who are making a living from this. And thanks to the government for funding a culling like this, of this nature. Because let me tell you, if it didn't happen, I do not know what would happen for the amount of green iguanas that we would have had. It was roadkill on steroids before the culling started. Everywhere you look, there were just green iguanas being killed on the bypass. And they would be in mounds of dirt. They would bury themselves, dig a hole, and they would lay their eggs. And I mean, I can't remember how much they said iguana eggs they can lay. And it's sometimes quite a large number. And if it wasn't for the culling program and the continuation of that program, I think we would be in some really deep poop with that, because those suckers, they eat everything. And even though, again, you don't feed them, they eat anything like your vegetables and stuff. So for all of our backyard farmers and all that sort of stuff, those suckers, they will kill your crop. At least with our blue iguana, they're really in the rock iguana. They're in the rocks. They're not on your walls, in your reefs. And their claws are so that they can actually climb up your mamaran wall, and they actually stick on your wall. I recall one evening coming home quite a while ago, and my kids were still young, and there was one who was up over my front door. Oh, dear Jesus. I couldn't get in. My children were still very young. I called every friend that was in the area that I knew. And thank God, Irvin, kudos to you. He came and he saved the day. Irvin Bennett saved the day, Daddy. Our kids, that's how long ago this was. Our kids were actually still young. They were still going to school, but there was no way I could open my door because he would have gotten into the house. So yes, real Michelle, I hope I'd never have to make my living from catching an iguana, that I literally have to go out there, because I tell you what, I would be the size of a toothpick. I would die of hunger. So kudos to all of you guys who make your living. Thank you for what you're doing. And I'm hoping that the government will continue to fund this and that it'll be fairly spread across all of our locals who are actually culling and keeping our ecosystem balanced in putting the nice, just talking about that gives me the goosies. Oh my God, Auntie, my Coco is obsessed with over Because he spoils her. Yes. Connie, they know where they get treats. And this is talking about the dogs. We switch topics now. Connie's dog is spoiled by her husband because they know Connie. They know. And at the end of the day, they will snuggle up to anybody who will allow them to cheat. But the good thing is they always return home to mama. I bet you can agree. Real Michelle, in Port Lincoln, Australia, they would clean the tuna at the jetty. Now you can't dip your big toe in the ocean for great white sharks. The fish cleaning attracted over. You see what I'm telling you? You see what I'm telling you? My point exactly. My point exactly. Yeah, it is the same thing that's happening out by Red Spot. At the end of the day. And I think it's going to be a risk because now we're having our tourists using down by Red Spot as a swimming. That's the next public beach. I see them down there swimming amongst all of these tar ponds. However, I cannot recall, I hardly get out anyhow, but when I do, in the days when cruise ships are in, I don't recall that the fisherman please correct me if I'm wrong. They still be out there cleaning and throwing their scraps. I don't think they would be throwing their scraps while the people are there, especially tourists using it, because that would be even bigger risk. But yeah, but I'm seeing that. So thank you, Michelle, Real Michelle, for sharing that with me, because that's my fear eventually here. I hope that we never see those here, to be honest, but there would be seeing reef sharks. We're seeing 1-2 black tips I have heard have been spotted off of Grand Ole House, and 1-2 tigers as well, tiger sharks. So, and that they usually come in during feeding time. So I'm hoping that that is not the case here if we continue to do this, because we know what it's like. I remember as a child, can't swim the now because it's own. Swimming at Pageant Beach as a child was one of my little spots to go, but Hogstye Bay as well. I can't say I've ever, I jumped off a red spot 1-2 times, but more Hogstye Bay off a little dock was my place to go. But when they're not being fed, what does that say then about the surrounding area? We know Eden Rock is a huge snorkeling and dive site area. And I'm quite sure you can't stop these fish from going where they're going to go. Smith Cove is there. You got along the 7 Mile corridor, which we have heard that there are a couple of shipwrecks out there for tourist attraction. What are we doing is what is key. It may be good to feed these tar ponds, but at the end of the day, I think the risk is going to be higher, but I leave it up to my marine officers to be giving us the real-time data with what they're seeing with shark patterns and all that sort of stuff to see whether or not, it poses a risk. But bottom line, and what I'm taking away from all of this, is that we shouldn't be feeding any wild animal, period. Be it tar ponds, be it whistling ducks, be it anything, stray cats, dogs, that sort of stuff. We shouldn't be feeding them because it just mess with their ability, and they're instinctual. They can survive better than us. I can tell you that right now, and make hard time hit us. We will find ways exactly how to survive if we have to. We will. So, Tartarian, somebody say something about my chickens. I don't leave my chickens. It's not that, it's not that, Tartarian. But let me tell you something. I hope yours is the wild ones. It's just with this risk now, Tartarian, that we're seeing. It's not something that we should be taken for granted, to be honest. And I know some people will have them in their backyard going to chickens now, that they become so team, they have them named and they're feeding out of their hands. That's how team they can be. But what I've also heard with this particular flu is that unless they die, or if you see them dying, and then you'll probably see one and you'd assume, oh, well, maybe they had a fight or something or whatever. And then you see another one drop and then another one drop. You're like, hey, something is going on. But just looking at them, you can't tell that they're sick. And that's what the tricky thing about it, right? Until you see multiple chickens actually dying and you're knowing that nothing has changed outside, you're finding dead fowl, you wouldn't know. And I say that because of all of you Tartarian who love other chickens in the wild. You might know that they may be infected. God forbid if this gets out and not contained, because unless you find them dead, you wouldn't know. And you interacting with them, remember they poop. You go outside in your slippers. How much of you really take off your shoes before coming into the house? How much of you walk into your house with the same shoes you've been out to the supermarket or been out in your yard, and you're not realizing what you're trafficking in your house? These are some of the precautions that we need to be taking even when we go out, because, we got chickens all over the place. They all over the place. And some on Facebook too. But we need to do our part if we want to try to get this under control. And I see, okay, I'll get to that question. 1 second. Yeah, but it's cool to, if you're coming from a country where you're not used to seeing wild chickens, you think they're so cute and you're going to be taking pictures, don't feed them. Take your picture and go. Don't feed them. It's just like our starfish. Don't pick them up. Don't take them out of the water. Don't do it. Don't do it. What can ordinary residents do? This is a concern. What can ordinary residents do in regards to what? About this outbreak? Okay. Best thing residents can do is avoid touching anything that appears sick or dead, and keep pets. Be very vigilant with your pets. God forbid if you find, you take them out for their walk, and if you see a chicken on the side, dogs like to sniff and all that sort of stuff. Keep them away from wild ducks. Keep them away from wild chickens. Keep your yards and pool deck areas. Clean it even a little bit more now. I know some of you are sprucing up. I'm hearing a lot of power washers over the weekend. But now you really want to make sure you do that a little bit more. And if you're walking your dog, jogging, cycling, or may happen to see an unusual deaths of birds or seeing dead birds along your path, make sure you call the Department of Agriculture. This is what everyday citizens and residents can do right now, because we know that it's been in West Bay. But if you're seeing a difference and you constantly jog, walk, cycle, walk your pets, and you're noticing there's a stench, or you're seeing a bit more normal dead birds or chickens or, along your path, ding, 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 ding. It's not coincidence. You may want to, everybody should right now be on alert and call the Department of Agriculture, but don't touch it. Don't go near it, because we don't know. What I want the general public to do is to just honestly take this, like every dead wild duck, unless you see it was squished in the road where you got fast drivers, unless you see it was squished. But even then, do not assume. Once you see it being dead, and if you're seeing an increased number of dead thing, definitely we want you to report that to the Department of Agriculture, because these are, some of the small things you can do. But I hear your concern, and that's an excellent question. And that's what you can do, to be honest. Connie, nobody dare to enter my front porch in their shoes. Good practice to do. And you know what? That's a Caribbean thing. I have a habit whenever I go to people's houses that I take my foot off. Foot. Yeah. Jesus. What am I talking? Am I drinking nothing? I'm allowed to get away. It's the holidays. I take off my shoes before I enter anybody's house. And it's just something that has been ingrained with me from a child. I take off my footwear. I leave them by the door and hope to Christ no scorpion or frog getting them. Sometimes I will just leave them on the inside by the mat. But it all depends, where I'm going. But that is something for me. And even when homeowners will say, it's okay, you don't have to take off your shoes. that is something with me. That's a culture thing in me. I can't do it. Better leave them at the step. And that's the best thing to do. I'm going to be very honest with you, Connie. I think we should all be cognizant of that, even if you're in your own yard. Chickens are all over the place. Like I said, these whistling ducks are all over the place. Guilty as charged right here. We got a lot around, a lot of them here where I live. And, that was a conversation Eric and I were having, that we're going to definitely be disinfecting, because we got two little bundles of joy, Bella and Chance, and their love to be outside. So we're very cautious now, even more so than ever, now that we're aware of this. Hey, Denver, how you doing? Government should be collecting the wild chickens and set up a farm at Horizon, or private partnerships with, or private partners with Caymanians. Denver, your people had actually suggested this a long time ago, because if we can purge wild crab, isn't it the same thing with wild chickens? And nothing a little pressure cooker couldn't tender some of them, but I know that one, and I gotta leave that one out in town by KFC. No, he's like a landmark. You can't touch that one by KFC. He's the longest liver. But it was suggested, Denver, quite a long time ago in prison. Oh, for them to do it over there. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that would be a great idea, because the prison guys, they do a lot of great things up there. And even them got some wild ones. But I tell you what, they're domesticated. I tell you that. They're get used to that. Connie says, I don't walk my dog out on the road. Oh, you got a small one too, right? Well, down here is pretty contained, so it's pretty cool. But we have a few wild chickens where I think people are feeding them, because it's funny. I've never had a problem with wild chickens in my yard because we don't feed them. I can't stop them whistling ducks because they're just boasting. They just do what they want to do. Those whistling ducks are just something else. I don't feed them, but they make sure they come, and they will go in the pool, and they will do the Michael Phelps backstroke, and they will be looking at me. And from the time they hear me open the door to come outside, they're gone. But they will wait. They give you the side eye too. And then they will actually shake their tail like, who are you? Because I can fly and you can't run to catch me. But they do their own thing. But this is why I am conscious of it. And this is why I'm going to do my part to disinfect even more until we get out of this rut. Lambrita. However, they just pop up on my porch, and I really don't like that. Worse yet, for the inside, they just pop up on my porch. Who, the chickens, people without their shoes? What? Tell me. Explain that. Explain that for me, please. I just want to put it into context. Denver, another bird, the whistling ducks, a great farm bit. Yeah, Denver, you onto something. I'm hoping that our powers at B can really look at this. Maybe there's a silver lining. Let me tell you something. After going through COVID and being in that position, there's a silver lining in everything. The respect that medical frontline first responders actually got during COVID-19 would have never actually been respected in the medical field and frontline period if it wasn't for COVID. So Denver, I'm thinking this unfortunate outbreak to this here in Cayman, and it being a reality being found here, there could be a number of silver lining. And I'm just hoping that Department of Agriculture, DOE, and Ministry of Sustainability as well could possibly look into some of these great ideas that you have, and we can look at this from a different perspective, because I think we have an opportunity here, and it will be a balance as well. But everyone has to do our part, in my humble opinion. And the first part in that, don't feed wild animals. That's the first step. And for all of you guys who are living close to the water or a bird sanctuary, because, government have plots of land that they have a bird sanctuary deemed as bird sanctuaries, and you may have these whistling ducks in and around your yard, just disinfect a little bit more. Real Michelle, when I sold real estate, I still took my shoes off for every house. The weekly news shows became longer for the shoes on, shoes off, but the floors remained immaculate. There we go. Look here, that's the Caribbean thing, okay? Two things for sure. A number of things that has been in me from a kid, to be honest. When you go to somebody's house, you take off your shoes, okay? Even with my dearest friends, I don't go into their fridge and help myself. And even if a friend is sick and I have to visit them, and let's say they're in their room, I don't sit on their bed. Call me old-fashioned if you may, but there's just certain boundaries you don't pass. And these were things for me that, and I know I'm digressing a little bit, but it all goes back down to cleanliness, culture, that sort of stuff. And we're going to go back to the footwear. But this is where you're seeing, especially if you got young family, friends, the holidays are coming now. You're going to have lots of persons, relatives visiting your house. We're going to be out shopping and that sort of stuff. That's why you want to not wear those same shoes in your home. I got a pair of slippers that only is for the inside because I can't walk barefoot on my floor. It hurts my knees. Yeah, I'm getting there. So I can't wear barefoot. I have to wear little rubber, but they don't go outside. They don't go off the back patio, which is screened in. And I can't do it. But that and going into people's fridge, it's different if you're helping, like if you go for a party and they say, go take something out of the fridge, or there's a dessert there or something, the salad is in there, can you take it out for me? But that's as instructed. But I just can't do that. I have a friend back in the day when we were in Parliament and we ended up meeting at their house very often. And it's not like I wanted to be served. I just couldn't, I had to respect their place. Of course, you get used to it and you share and then you still open up. But I knew where to go to. Where's the powder room? Where's the sitting area or common area where we're going to be? But outside of that, and I don't look around people's houses. If I go to your place, I ain't fasten. I ain't going to do that. There are just certain things I don't do. So good for you, Real Michelle. Tartarian, I discovered shoe covers. The disposable ones when I work as a nursing assistant in the UK. They are good to take with you when visiting homes. They can be purchased at the pharmacy. Very handy. Yes, I know they are. They are very handy. And some people will tell you straight up, take off your shoe. And who to tell? Some of them may actually offer you shoe covers if you're in a position where you can't take off your shoes. So you got to respect people's space. You got to respect their privacy. And each culture is different. I also visited one of those container farms, and you weren't allowed to actually go into the actual place where they're growing their crops, their vegetables, whatever it is they're climatized the containers with. And you actually had to wear shoe covers, and you take it for granted. Well, it's on my foot. I'm not doing anything. Little bugs actually could go into that container on your shoes. Remember, you're walking on the ground. They're ants, they're worms. If your sneakers that they have grooves in them, little mites that you can't see with the naked eye could have actually been taken into this container farm that could have actually destroyed an entire crop. And it's no different in your home, especially if you have young babies or just on the floor. But for me, I'm even extra careful because I have doggies who don't mix with other dogs, but still, I am even that much more cautious. The use of frequent mopping, disinfecting, because I have pets. And you would come to my house and you wouldn't even know I got dogs. Real Michelle. My mother used to travel with those Jiffy shoes from, okay. Good. You know where I found myself actually doing something similar, like when you go to hotels Yeah. And if you're really fancy and you go to a hotel that provides their bed slippers, I convert those bed slippers immediately. But should you go out, and I know a number of you are traveling for the holidays, be conscious of that. These shoe covers as well, that you can use, or if you're fancy enough and staying at one of those resorts that actually give you those bed slippers, use them. It's amazing how dirty those carpets can be. Don't care how 5-star of a resort you're in. Still use precaution when you're walking. And it's not like I'm a germaphobe. It's just that, I guess, coming out of the medical field, having worked in public health, and you can see these things. It's amazing how much germs and bugs are out there. Yeah. But you can't be so sterile that you can't be mixing with people then, because your immune system don't get enough time to build up from the common stuff. But again, it's good to take your multivitamins and all this sort of stuff. From an environmental standpoint, where we are and what's happening here in the Cayman Islands, I must say that we've done a phenomenal job. And I think it's only fair thus far for us to give our government agencies an applause so far for how they've responded to this. So by all means, so far so good. They're doing it with all that we have. We're thankful for all of the updates that they've been doing. And my thoughts goes out to the farmer who may have been impacted by this. And I'm quite sure the government will keep us updated in regards to this. But at the end of the day, the whole fact about this is that, there are some myths about this. Real Michelle is laughing at you, Connie. Oh, Lord. I travel with travel socks. 1 pair per day. God dug it. Well, it's easier, Connie, use the disposable socks. Use the disposable ones. Yeah, but oh gosh, yeah. Ugh. It is those things, but it's quite interesting what is into all of us at the end of the day. Hi, Miss Rosie Rose. How you doing, my sweet? Good evening, Sabrina. Do all pharmacists have the shoe protector covers? Pretty much. They would have them. Pretty much, Miss Rose. I'm quite sure they would. They would have them. But yeah, you gotta be careful now. But I think if we just introduce practice, I know why Ms. Rose is asking that. If we honestly just get into the habit, go back to our tradition where we take off our shoes at the door and we don't take things for granted. You've been out and about, going this place, that place. Don't come into the same home that you've mopped. And I know all of you are cleaning your houses and stuff for the holidays, and you're mopping and you're sweeping, and then you just come in from a hard day's work and you walk into your house with the same shoes. Think back from the second that you left your house. Where have you went today? Think about that. All of those steps that you took today, public spaces, to and from the car, public bathrooms, office big bathrooms. Yeah, you're going to track that not only into your car, you're tracking that also into your house. Yeah, you may want to rethink this a little bit. So if you were taking it for granted, I hope that you look at it totally different right now. And some of those lessons that our parents were teaching us a long time ago, they may not have been able to break it down for us, but it prepared us for situations just like this, because some of you may think, oh, that's a bird thing. That'll never come to humans. Even though transmission is rare to human beings in this particular case, most cases worldwide come from very close or direct contact, as we can see with sick birds. And sick birds, dead birds, have been identified at this location in West Bay. And that is why we can't take it for granted. But at this time, we have no confirmed human cases. And so therefore, the public risk remains low. But we can do our part. And I'm hoping that some of the little tips that we're sharing here can actually help you navigate through this. So yeah, Miss Rose, you can check any of the pharmacies and you just ask them for these protective covers, shoe protective covers. Connie, matter of fact, I don't like people over. Okay, Connie. Worse the Christmas is buffering, not loading at all. I get you. I hear you. Your Wi-Fi buffering. Okay, Connie. I get you. I get you. I get you. All right. It's the holidays. You can't really, I respect your space. But it's hard to really, I shouldn't say it's hard. It all depends on who you are and your family connects. But I'm quite sure everyone knows you're unique in your own way and they won't take it personal. You realize I caught on to you immediately when you say that. But yeah, girl, how you gonna navigate the holidays? I don't know. How are you gonna do your Christmas shopping though? No, but you're not doing Christmas shopping. You said you were gonna do your stuff over to Jamaica because you got family over there, right? Mixed. Wow. Okay, Denver, where you gonna? Mix Tabasco and cloves in your Fabuloso cleaner. Great for bug protection and smell. Really? I never knew the cloves should smell. Tabasco and cloves in your Fabuloso cleaner. Great for bug protection and smell. Nice. Denver, I could try a small batch of that. Oh my God, I would have never really. I mean, I know I found a secret for, now I tell you what, me and DOE agriculture could fall out if there's ever any fines against frogs. I tell you right now, they don't even have to take me to court. I going straight to Fairbanks. I will do anything to just get rid of the frogs. The frogs. Me and the frogs. I got a thing with snakes too. But the frogs. So straight up, anything come to me now. Because whatever it takes to not see a frog and a snake, but more so a frog, I go in Fairbanks. Hands down. And what I found, Denver, for them is the brown, the frogs, the brown pine sol, the old time one, and essence of peppermint. And boy, that smell good. Yep. And what I noticed with the brown pine aisle or pine sol, whatever you want to call it, not the yellow one, not the fancy dancy ones, the old time brown one. It actually sticks. You can do one part to water, one part of that, one part water, and then you do your essence of peppermint. And what I noticed, it leaves like a thin film and they don't come around. Of course, with frogs, it harbors snakes. I've kind of gotten rid of the frogs. So at the end of the day, I'm seeing less snakes, but I still see a few every now and again. It is just my luck that even looking out of my kitchen window, I say, but sticks don't move because you're probably just catching like the tail end of it. And I keep looking and it's getting shorter. I said, that's a snake. Yeah, it's just my luck. I will spot a frog a mile away and it's the same thing now with darn snakes. So Houston, we got a problem. The real Michelle, Miss Connie is on fire today. Oh yeah, Connie Bonnie is on fire. I never thought you guys would have been so intrigued with this topic. I thought it would be a bit boring, but again, you guys actually help steer this as we share the information in layman's terms. It's educating, and this is all about how we can do our part as regular citizens, delivering a topic like this in the most humorous way, even though we're going from one to the next, but it's still bringing it back to reality as to what's happening here in the Cayman Islands. And it's all about a balance. We're seeing where all of these tadpoles and what they're doing in Jamaica as well for aiding of mosquitoes. And then I saw an interview where a lady says that some native birds were actually eating the tadpoles as well. Here we go again. Mother Nature will do their part. But I could tell you what, she ain't doing it fast enough for me when it comes to frogs and snakes. So I got help myself. And I got a problem with them. Listen, yeah, bleach out them frogs backside. I hate them. I wish every time a snake is killed or a frog is killed by somebody else, I said, wish to Christ it were the last one. But yeah, that's not reality. They still come back. So what I do my best is like the ledges on the outside, I spray this pine sol and essence of peppermint and on the ledges, and I don't see them come back. I could be very honest with you. It's been a while that I haven't. Even when the rains come that Michelle talks about how loud they are, they're having an orchestra, I cannot say at first, oh my God, Frank Sinatra couldn't beat them. But now I have been doing this every evening and I don't hear them, thank God. One night Eric had to go to work and he went through the front door and he didn't know he let one inside. I was about to call 911. Yeah, that's how bad it is. I actually called in-law and I gave them permission to destroy anything in the house. Just get that frog out. But guess what Mr. Eric told me must do? Because he could not come back. I must get a towel and throw over this frog until he come. I said, now I know you mean me no good because I'd be dead if I even had to get that close. So that was the joke of the night. My son Christopher was here, and I guess he's just as afraid as him as well. But he was the man. He stepped up to the plate. But because at the end of the day, I know that it is what it is. I called an in-law. Was the easiest. And you know what? Put it like this. I paid him for taking out the frog, but I gave him permission to destroy anything in my house that night. So if anybody want to make easy money, send me your phone number, come to my house, that I can call you to save me from frogs. I don't care. But yeah, I was angry as hell because Eric told me I must find a towel and throw over this damn frog. Really? Not me and him. Well, of course, the towel did not end up back in the house. I just told my in-law, you, that, and the towel, have a good night. Oop, out. Yay. So now every evening it's religious. I go out and I drench down and it smells nice at the front door. Yes. Real Michelle. I left Christmas in 2022. Still buffering, Connie. I've given up. Laugh out loud. Tartarian. What are the effects on humans if we catch the bird flu? It could cause death, Tartarian. It could kill you. Flu-like symptoms. And if they're saying if they see some of the precautionary measures, Tartarian, that if you see flu-like symptoms persisting for at least 7 to 14 days, you should actually contact your doctor. Now, that's if you came in contact possibly with a dead or bird or chicken in this case. We know that this is even harder to find this time of the year because it is flu season here in the Cayman Islands. And but if you have come in contact with a dead bird or a wild bird or a wild duck that you don't know how it died, let's say you go in your backyard and it's just they're dead and you want to move it, not knowing what killed it. And after coming in contact with it, you develop flu-like symptoms that has been going on for longer than 7 days. Remember, with or without medication, a common flu or cold will last 7 days. Okay. But if you're seeing where you've come in contact with a dead bird or chicken or whatever, and you develop these flu-like symptoms that's persisting for over 14 days, then you want to contact your doctor, okay? But sometimes it can actually kill you. C.E. Banks, good evening, Miss Sabrina. Cayman, when you mix man-made chemicals like pine sol, fabuloso bleach, wrong to do. Remember, that might smell good for your actual breathing in those mixed chemicals. Thank you for that. But it was, for me, I don't use the Fabuloso and bleach. Yeah, I can't really do without it still though. But for the pine sol and the essence of peppermint, that's the same peppermint that you would drink like if you are sick. I just drop a couple of drops of that to spray on frogs. So that's what CE banks. But thank you for that. I know you shouldn't be mixing chemicals. And even though they say you shouldn't mix the Fabuloso in the bleach, my house don't smell right without it, the combination. But thank you so much. I don't fool with that. And you know how they got to lime away and you still use your bleach. And oh no, I don't do all of that. My cleaning things to go to is either the Lysol cleanup or and if I use those like in the toilets and that sort of scum remover, I don't use the bleach with that. I use those in isolation. But for the floors, I do mop my floors with bleach and Fabuloso or Clorox and Fabuloso, those two. The real Michelle, the same play cricket with frogs around where I live. Oh, really? I don't mind the crickets, but oh God. A.L. Thompson tells, yeah, don't you worry, girl. I got a powder. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Connie, I got 2 bottles of that. The big one, too. Oh, yeah. Try just using the original pineapple. Yeah, it's made with real. Yeah, that's what I use. Costs way less than the pine sol. That it's the old one, CE Banks that I'm using, the old time one that we used to get. And they come concentrated now, so it's really thick. Oh no, Sabrina. You gave permission to do what in the name of a frog? Oh yeah, they can come for me. Because I tell you what, if government even say you're banned for killing frogs, now I done. I got to relocate someplace and it won't be Australia either. Somewhere else I gone like a bat out of hell. What are you laughing at, Connie? I would move out of that house. Yeah. Oh, the night, girl, that was bad. I didn't even remember that. I still had on my night clothes. I came out of the room to go to the kitchen for something. And you know, at the corner of your eye, you saw this little brown spot by the door. And I know he had just left. I'm like, that Dana looking too, right? So help me Christ. He was a good size. He was good. He was huge. But yeah, so of course you called him, not expecting him to be that far away, and he could tell me he can't leave where he is. Like, and a man right now, yo, you gonna take this out. But 911 almost got a call. Either them or me, but I wasn't staying in here. I almost died. Denver, yes, don't mix such. No, I don't, Denver. And thank you guys for that. I don't ever do that. To be honest, but I do, I'm going to admit it, like everybody else, the Fabuloso and a little bit of bleach or Clorox. Yep. Those two to mop my floors. Auntie, use the bleach first, then steam mop. Okay. Interesting. Okay. My son was telling me that there's a steamer as well that he was wanting to get. I think how much you got? Oh, I don't want to call no brand names. You know, you got those things that you can get into hard to reach places, and they got the mops now that you can do. Apparently, there's one with a steam mop as well. Very brand. I like the dusting things because it can get into the grooves of your blinds and stuff. And quicker picker upper. I still like to mop my floor the old way. I can understand little spills like the holidays, people are going to come over, that sort of stuff. You do a little quick thing. But you see, once it's all over, my grandmother raised me. I get in a bucket with my stuff and I am going to mop. And it's just something when you step into your home and you can just feel like your place is light. Hey, darling, you late to class this evening. How you doing, my love? You good? You had a good weekend? Happy December to you. Real Michelle. Children, they have small hands. Connie Bonnie's telling me it's at A.L. Thompson's. Okay, I could double check that. As a matter of fact, I gotta try to steal out tomorrow. to go and see some stuff. But thank you for all of this. Can you imagine? Look at what we shared here this evening, just talking about this bird flu. We have gotten tips and tricks as to how to keep our homes clean and tidy. And it doesn't take much, because remember the olden days, all of you late, yeah, you must have been drinking Milo. Where are you? You were out looking for those last over. Today is Cyber Monday. How many of you went online and shopped like you crazy? You went to look for them leftover deals on those TVs or whatever. Your TV expired too. Every year you buy a TV on Black Friday. Good to have you with us, nevertheless. Oh, to clean small pit. Oh, I don't have no young kids around, not even grandkids. So my love, it's those little, got to push them in, and you just make your own little things. You go, girl, South Carolina. I won't be just like you, Dora the Explorer. But thank you for even tuning in with us, to us, even when you're in South Carolina, girl. Cole must be biting your shirt up there. OMG, good for you. But it's good to have you take us with you wherever you go. You're Cole, you're brute. I'm happy for you. Enjoy, have fun, be safe, and remember, get Vicks inhaler, Albus inhaler, and keep inhaling. You don't need to be bringing back no flu here, girl. To keep you up. It's good. No, not yet. Okay, good. Yeah, but it's good to be in contact with persons, and we can share all these tips and tricks with each other as we navigate life together. And I think spaces like this brings us together in the most unique way. And it's just doing what we have to just survive. And as I said, if you think it's cool feeding wild animals, I respect you. But just remember, for every time you feed wild animals, what you're doing is domesticating them. And you could probably just setting an ecological, you could be causing an ecological imbalance. You're training them to depend on you. You see what happened during the lockdown, where the stingrays got so accustomed to being fed that we had to have a group of people go out on the sandbar to make sure that these stingrays were fed, because we have domesticated all of them. And these are some of the things. I know eventually they would figure it out, but then that is a huge tourism attraction here in the Cayman Islands. And what if they left and never came back? These are all the risks that we take. And it went from that to the cleaning of our houses. And thank you for the ideas, guys. I will definitely consider that. Navigating this space together. Connie Bonnie, you're a joke. Between you and the real Michelle today, you guys were both on fire, and thank you for definitely keeping it going here for those. But there's about our water table. I'm quite sure as well that all of our water table, like Water Authority and all of our water sources, are doing what they have to do to make sure that this time they have standard protocols anyhow. And remember, we say that this particular virus doesn't last long outside of its host. So if it's not actually in the animal itself, once it's outside, once it's excreted, once it comes out for whatever reason, it doesn't last long. So cleaning up your place, disinfecting your place, usually the best thing to do is Clorox or bleach. Nothing a little soap and water can't do, but we understand international standards are saying that chlorine right now is the best way to try and eradicate this. This is for cleaning outside and stuff. So if you're living around a place that has a lot of chickens, wild chickens, get a lot of, or whistling ducks, birds as a whole. I think it's crab catchers, the ones that come down late at night and they got a long beak. I think they call them crab catchers, right? We have two clockwork, 6:45 by 7:30. Oh my God, my two dogs goes crazy. They are like clockwork, and they come in the back and they land on the pergola. Clockwork. And that tells me that they're either seeing frogs somewhere. But the good thing is now, um, I notice now that they're not as frequent, which kind of tells me that the pine isle is doing its job. So they also scoop down for snakes. So they can take care of one of them for me as far as I'm concerned. But right now, my thing is trying to avoid these darn frogs and snakes, for the record, from coming into my house. And I will tell anybody who's going out, I will actually rush you out that front door for the fear of one jumping on the door while it was closed. My sons know me so well that if they even come, they come on the side of the house now and they come through the back patio that's better lit and you can see the place better. Yeah. So everybody knows I have that there. It's bad. Don't even play with me when it comes to a frog. If you want our friendship to be over, mess with me with a frog. If we didn't have a friendship before and you come with a frog, it will never happen. So yeah, I take that crap serious. So I'm hoping that people will understand that, there's a myth, I think, that feeding wild chickens and cats has nothing to do with the disease. Yes, it does. Darling, you laughing? Oh yeah, yeah, that bad. If you don't like me, you don't even have to prove it. Just stay away. Don't try to prove your case with a frog. Just you stay your lane, I stay in mine. We'd be like on I-95. You stay in your lane, I stay in mine. We good. But yeah, what does that have to do with the disease? It has a lot to do with the disease because when you actually feeding wild life, it increases contact between animals and humans. And in this case, definitely increases the risks of the disease transmission, which we don't want. Okay. And our public health definitely advises against feeding wild animals, not only for the season, but at all times. So we just want to keep that. If there's anything that you take away from this episode of Sabrina Speaks today, I want you to really revisit how you interact with wild animals, period. Because this should be a wake-up call for all of us. In regards to how we deal with the wild, to be honest. Even though that feels like how we navigate in life, period. But you could just take a different approach. Real Michelle, whenever you see me here, it's only because my boyfriend lets me use his internet. I have to catch up last week's shows. Oh, really? Aw. Well, I thank your boyfriend. Yes, based on your ordeal, Michelle, the real Michelle, I can understand you, my love. Thank God he's given you the opportunity to keep up. Aw, we love you lots, girl. We navigating life together, real Michelle. Thank you. You helped me more than you know. You are more than welcome. You know what, Maria Michelle? I'm hearing that from a lot of other people, directly and indirectly. And this is why sometimes I wouldn't say I struggle with subjects, but sometimes you just need to come on here and be yourself. And I like to be prepared because it's not easy holding down a 2-hour show to just ramble. And this is why I encourage anyone to participate in these discussions. Of course, we're going to have some subjects that's very topical. And this is why I realized that the big thing right now is immigration reform and wanting to get to know that and the participation. And what I love with that immigration reform is that we get a balance of our own locals and we get persons who are tuning in, even though they're not commenting, that are not vocal, but they're also expatriates who didn't really understand in navigating the system themselves. And for the amount of feedback that I'm hearing that we're getting, kudos to all of you. And I'm happy that it's refreshing. People said there's always a fresh approach. It's a different spin on things. And I thank you for your feedback. And even though you got to catch up sometimes after the fact, it's good. And that's the power of this space. You and CMR TV is my only access to the outside. Oh, I don't. Yes, you told us that. You shared with us that. And Mr. Balika actually says, "Oh my God, what an ordeal you've been living in, Michelle. I really hope that you can get your situation sorted out." But yeah, we're going to keep it real. And this is why sometimes I will grab headlines from all over the place that really pop out that is relative. I'm still watching what's happening in the region between the US and Venezuela. And you will notice I don't go too deep into other people's politics. I don't want no share in part of that. For some people are just unpredictable. And but what was weird, and I must go here now that that crossed my mind, with what's happening in Venezuela and even questioning our sovereignty. Now it is stated that it's going to go off the seas now, and possibly the US is threatening to go on land in Venezuela to help with the narco trades to stop that. We've seen where the airspace now was marked as a no-fly zone declared by the President of the United States. I didn't know he could do that in an airspace of another man's country. It's not for me. But what I'm saying is, there's so much things when you put all of these headlines together that there's just you just got to let it play out, because we need to be very careful with where we are here in this jurisdiction to not meddle in other people's affairs. But at the end of the day, God forbid if anything goes down in the Caribbean, we need to start talking. And even though we're a British overseas territory jurisdiction, we're going to be looking at national security on a total different level if they don't get their situation sorted out. Not speaking on behalf of the government or the governor, but the mere fact that there's been utter silence is somewhat cause for concern. It's just to not spark fear, but to say we are alert. We're also monitoring it. That's all the people want. That's all they want. Because it's real what's happening over there. And whether it's bullying tactics, we are a part of the Caribbean. And if you look at it as a wider picture in this entire region, this entire zone being sovereign, our sovereignty is being questioned with what is actually unfolding. And the heightened presence, military presence of what's happening, we're living in la la land if we're not concerned. Just the staging. And I really feel that we need to have some talks, even if it's just to make it, to air it, to ventilate it with what's happening. And for those of you who are not on the internet, and we are your lifeline, it's real what's happening. And to say that I'm not concerned, I am. Because I know how porous our borders are, and everyone in the Cayman Islands know that. That has been cited even on the last committee, finance committee. But at the rate and pace that we've seen a strong military presence in our Caribbean, we can no longer continue to remain under a rock. We're highly protected by America. That's facts. Thank you, Denver. Somebody knows. Yes, yes, yes. We're keeping our eyes open. Thank you so much for those kind compliments. But yeah, so if that is the case, Denver and their joint, I'm quite sure I trust you. I like so many others. I'm, like I said, but not saying anything. People are actually having a lot of talks amongst their tables in their own homes, but nationally. A simple statement. That's all it is. A one-liner. Every now and again, control the narrative is what I'm saying, for God's sakes. Control the narrative before it gets out there. And it's not their problem. It's our problem when it's the Caribbean as a whole. And even though we're a British overseas jurisdiction and we're British, we're highly protected by America. And we know that. We saw the meetings between the King and the President of the United States. And I am quite sure that they have things under control. But silence as well doesn't help the panic and the fear that people are actually very cautious about or aware of. So at the end of the day, something being said is better than nothing. Hey, Mitzi, how is the weather up there, up north? I hope you're enjoying your evening, ready for the holidays. Happy holidays to you and your family. Donnie and Donnie, I hope you're doing well as well. And Lavana, how you doing, my sweet? Hope you're continuing to mend well. But there we have it. And at the end of the day, we all have to do our part. Like I said, I will keep my eyes on what is happening around here. And I'll encourage you to keep abreast and lock onto your local media stations for the latest on this virus here that has been found in West Bay. But the key takeaway today from this episode is don't feed wildlife. Don't feed wildlife. No. But before I close, because yes, we have another show that is scheduled to start at 7 and then 8 as well. So we got a lineup for you tonight on cmrtv.com. As we continue to build this platform. It has been a pleasure. And, I want us to remember two things that we've said here. First of all, Cayman has acted, for those of you who are just joining us, has acted responsibly in containing the avian flu. And each of us really do have a part and a role to play in keeping our island safe. Yes. And we can do that by avoiding contact with sick birds, reporting concerns, and practicing good hygiene as well. And at the end of the day, let us give thanks. Yesterday marked the official close of the Atlantic hurricane season, and Cayman Thanksgiving will be observed this Sunday, November 7th. It is a reminder that even as we face challenges, we have much to be grateful for. And our safety, our unity, and our shared responsibility to protect this island we call home, the beautiful Cayman Islands. So to each of you, please, let's stay informed. Let's stay united, taking care of each other. And that's Cayman Strong. That's also Cayman Safe. So Mek We Talk is up next. Mek We Talk is up next on cmrtv.com. Until tomorrow for another exciting episode of Sabrina Speaks. As I tell you, we will just have it sprinkled with what's topical, but definitely breaking down the white paper in its entirety and bit by bit for different sections for you, keeping it real, keeping it live. It has been my pleasure. Do have a good evening. As usual, love you lots. Take care. God bless.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.